Hi, it's John Vu, and in this lesson we're going to go through Are You Going to Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz from Trinity Rock and Pop Drums Grade 3. Okay, so looking at the sheet music in the book, at the top of the page to the left hand side you've got the song title, and above that it says Technical Focus. So this is one of the technical focus pieces of Grade 3. Beneath the song title you can see we've got intro there in a box, so that's just letting you know the first section of the song we're going to be playing is the intro. Beneath that you've got the song style or genre, so it says rock, so you know it's a rock piece. And beside that it says a quarter note equals 120, so that's the tempo of the piece. Okay, so there's 120 quarter note beats per minute. Okay, so that's 2 beats per second, so that's quite a fast tempo. Okay, then beside that in brackets it says 2 bars counting. So that's just letting you know when you play this with a backing track, there's going to be 2 bars of a counting before you start playing, before the track starts. Okay, so looking at the first bar of music, you can see we've got the percussion clef at the start there, letting you know it's drum notation on the stave, and then beside that you've got the time signature. So this piece is in 4/4, so we've got a 4 at the top, which tells you there's 4 beats in the bar, and then 4 at the bottom tells you each one of those beats is a quarter note. So we've got 4 quarter note beats in the bar. So in the first bar of music, we've got 4 quarter notes, so we're just hitting the downbeats, okay, and each quarter note has got a grace note in front of it. So a grace note in front of a primary note is a flam. So that's a rudiment. Okay, so we're playing flams for all 4 quarter notes. Okay, now I like to alternate my flams. So we've got 4 flams in the bar, so I play a right flam on the 1. So a right flam, the left plays the grace note, which comes in just before the right hand, okay? So remember, with a flam, it's called a flam because that's how it sounds when we play it. So you want to make sure the notes are nice and close together, no space between them, okay? So we don't want lam, we want flam. Okay, so you don't want too much space, but also you don't want to hit them together. So make sure one stick starts low, one stick starts high. So the low is your grace note, which comes in just before. The high stick is your primary note, which is the one that's going to hit the downbeat right on the 1. Okay, so the left's going to drop in just before the 1 to play a right-handed flam. Okay, then I switch it up. So I play a left flam on the 2, so right plays the grace note, drops in just before. And then I switch again, right flam. Switch again, left flam. Okay, now that's just good practice because if you play just one hand a lot of the time and you constantly play your dominant side, you're going to develop your dominant hand so much and your weaker hand's going to get left behind. Okay, so we'll always have a stronger hand, but you want your weaker hand to be as close to your strong hand as possible. Okay, so don't just leave it behind. Don't just really work on your comfortable side constantly. If you work on that more uncomfortable side, it's going to get more comfortable, and then you're just going to be a better drummer for it. Okay, so if you can, alternate the flams. Okay, so I'm going to play the first bar now, alternating right, left for the flams, and beneath the bar you got F there, which is short for forte, which means loud. So you want to make sure you play these flams nice and loud. So in the first bar, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then in the second bar you've got a 1 bar repeat, so you just repeat what you just played in the previous bar, and in the third bar you've also got a 1 bar repeat, so we play the same bar again. So you play that first bar 3 times, and then in the fourth bar, so the final bar of line 1, we've got the flams on the downbeats again. Okay, so the flams still hit the 1, 2, 3, 4, but on the third beat you've got an 8th note flam because we've got an 8th note on the bass drum on the and of 3. Okay, so we're just going to put that bass drum in the middle of the 3 and the 4, so right in the middle on that and. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the hands are still playing the downbeats. So that bar 4, is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that first line, hitting all the downbeats with your hands, and then just bringing that bass drum on the and in bar 4. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to make sure you've got nice clean flams and they're sounding nice and loud, okay? So that's one of the technical focus elements of this piece, the flams. Okay, so they're such a big part of this song. If you come in with kind of untidy, weak sounding flams, it's just not going to give the track a good kind of grounding and a good start, okay? So make sure you can play good flams. Remember, if your flams are weak, work on them. Don't hide them. Don't just kind of play them weak and leave them there and kind of think, oh, I don't like flams, I'm just going to leave them. Really, if it's a weakness, work on it and it will become stronger, right? So flams are an important rudiment to work on, So you want nice strong flams for this piece. Then in the second line, we've got the same thing you just played in bar 4 for the first bar of line 2, which is bar 5. And then in the second bar of line 2, bar 6, we're just bringing in a bass drum on the and of 4 as well. Okay, so you've got the bass drum on the and of 3 and also the and of 4. So those flams on the 3 and 4 become eighth notes because you've also got eighth notes on the ands there on the bass drum. So that the rhythm of bar 6 is 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. So still hitting those downbeat flams with your hands. So that bar is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then the third bar of line 2, so bar 7 is the same as bars 4 and 5. Okay, just playing that bass drum on the and of 3. And then in the final bar of line 2, bar 8, you play flam on 1, flam on 2 for a dotted eighth note. Then you've got a 16th note. You're going to play that with your left hand. Okay, on the A of 2. And then you've got 3E and on the third beat. So that's 2 16ths and an eighth note. And then on the fourth beat, you've got another quarter note flam. So I'm going to play a right flam on the 1, left flam on 2, left hand for the A of 2, right, left, right for the 3E and I'm going to play a left flam for the 4. Okay, so that bar 8 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that second line sounds like this, the whole line, bars 5 to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to get that down, make sure you can go smoothly through that line, and then we want to link it with the top line. Okay, so let's try lines 1 and 2 now. So both of these lines at forte, nice and loud, nice strong, clean sounding flams. So and obviously I alternated the flams, but you don't have to, okay? If you can, great. If you can't, just work on one hand. But try both, right? So try alternate, but also try just rights, try just lefts, and that's a good exercise in itself, okay? So you're working on both sides, flamming with the right, flamming with the left. Okay, so let's try lines 1 and 2. And then we come into line 3, which starts at bar 9. So in bar 9, we've got a 1 bar groove. We've got an eighth note groove. So we've got eighth notes on the cymbal. Crash on 1, the other eighth notes on the ride. Okay? So if we just play the ride first of all, and we'll put the crash in once we've got the groove down. So eighth notes on the ride cymbal, bass and snare drum pattern, quarter note on 1 on the bass drum, quarter note on snare on the 2. And then you've got eighth notes on the bass drum on 3, and then a quarter note on the snare drum on the 4. Okay, so that groove sounds like this, just playing it on the ride. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so a nice simple groove, and you're just crashing on the 1 when you come into it. Okay, then you've got 2 1-bar repeats, so you play that groove another 2 times. Okay, now remember, when you repeat a 1-bar groove, you're not going to repeat the crash on 1. So you only crash on the 1 of the first bar of that groove at bar 9, because that accentuates the start of the groove. Okay, so you've got 3 bars of that groove, and then you come into the 4th bar of line 3, which is bar 12. You've got the groove for the first 3 beats, the same groove you played, 1 and 2 and 3 and, but on the 4th beat, you're going to play a crash with the backbeat on the snare drum. So both hands together on the 4, and then you've got 2 16th notes on the and the a of 4. So that 4th beat is 4 and a. So a crash to accentuate the backbeat on 4, then 2 16ths, right, left. So you got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that bar sounds like this, bar 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so putting that whole line together, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so nice 8th note feel to that to that line, and remember we're still at forte, so you want to play it nice and loud, a lot of energy for this rock piece. The next line, which will be line 4, starting at bar 13, you've got the same groove. So you crash in again on the 1 of bar 13. You've got 2 1-bar repeats again, just like you had in the previous line. And then we've got a change up in the last bar of that line, so bar 16. Now you play the groove to the 2. So you've got 1 and 2. And then that 2 is a dotted 8th note, so the next note comes in on the at of 2. So you play that with your left hand on the snare drum. Then you've got 2 16ths and an 8th note, which you had in the first couple of lines. So that's 3 E and, right, left, right. Then you've got 4. So for that 4, you can play a right hand or a left hand there. So you've got 1 and 2, a 3 E and 4. Okay, so that bar, so bar 16, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so get that bar down. Once you've got it, we'll put it together with the rest of the line. So line 4 of the piece, so bars 13 to 16, sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so once you got that, you want to put it with the previous line as well, so make sure you can flow through those 2 lines. And then at the end of line 4, you've got a double bar line, which means there's going to be a musical change, and that's because we've come to the end of the intro. Okay, so we're going to put the whole intro together now. So you've got 2 lines of flams, nice strong clean flams, 2 lines of groove, and you've got that 4th bar change up in the groove. Okay, so for the groove you've got two lots of 4 bars, and you've got a little change up on the 4th bar of each of those 2 lines. Okay, so let's try and put the whole intro together. And now we'll try the whole intro in time with the backing tracks. Remember, you've got a 2-bar counting, so you'll hear 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we come in with those flams. Okay, so let's try the whole intro. So now we come into the next line at line 5, it starts at bar 17, and you can see we've got the verse there written in a box. So we're on to the verse now, a new section of the song. Beside verse, you can see we've got the sign there, sometimes referred to as the Senyo sign, okay? So we're going to come back to that sign, so you just need to make a note of it, just log it, just know you're going to come back to this point at a future point in the song. Okay, so we play through the verse groove, and the verse groove is the same groove you played in the intro, but we're just on the hi-hat this time. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we got 2 1-bar repeats. You play that groove for another 2 bars, and remember you don't repeat the crash when you repeat the groove. Okay, then you come into the final bar of that line, so bar 20. And what we got here is the same groove, but you got an extra snare drum note in there, okay? So on the downbeat of 2, instead of a quarter note, you've now got a dotted 8th note on the snare drum, and then we've got a 16th note on the ah of 2. Okay, so we're playing the ah of 2, which means it's not going to line up with the right hand, because the right hand's playing 8th notes. Okay, so we don't hit ah when we play 8th notes, obviously we just hit the downbeat and the and. So that snare drum's going to go in the middle of the and of 2 and the 3. So if we try just the hands first, you've still got the snare drum on the backbeat, the 2 and 4. We've also got the extra snare drum on the ah of 2. Okay, so it sounds like this. Just the hands, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then the bass drum still on the 1 and the 3 and the end of 3. So that groove in bar 20 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so get that one down, that bar on its own, and then we'll play the whole line, so bars 17 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's it, nice and slow. So you want to get it down slow and controlled first so it's sounding good, and then you want to increase the tempo, okay, to get to the song tempo, 120 beats per minute. Right, next line of the verse, so starting at bar 21, same groove, okay, on the hi-hat, no crash. So just carrying on the hi-hat after that change up in the fourth bar of the verse. Then we've got 2 1-bar repeats, you're playing bar 21 again, another 2 times, and then you've got another change up in the fourth bar of that line, which is the same change up you had in the previous line, okay, adding that extra snare drum on the of 2. So that line's exactly the same as what you played in the previous line. The only difference is there's no crash on the 1 of the first bar. Okay, so moving into the final line of the first page, starting at bar 25. Now you crash in with the same groove on the hi-hat. Okay, you got 2 1-bar repeats. So remember, again, don't play those crashes on the repeats. Just carry on the hi-hat. And in the final bar of that line, so bar 28, we've got a 1-bar fill on the snare drum. Okay, now for the first beat, we've got a 16th note, an 8th note, and a 16th note. So that rhythm is 1 E A. So you're going to play that right, left, left. On the second beat, we've got an 8th note and 2 16th notes. So that rhythm is 2 and A. So you're going to play that right, right, left. On the third beat, we've got a 16th note rest. So that's going to last till the E. Then we've got a 16th note on the E, which will last till the and. Then we've got an 8th note on the and. Okay, so that's just like playing 2 16th notes and an 8th note, which sounds like this. But we're just not playing the downbeat. We're not playing the 3. Okay, so instead of 3 E and, we're playing rest E and. So you're going to rest where the right hand would play the downbeat and play left right on E and. So you've got 1, 2, 3 E and. Okay, so E and then on the fourth beat you've got 8th notes. Okay, so you've got 4 and, right, left. So the 1-bar rhythm is 1 E, a 2 and a E and 4 and, right. So you got right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left. So nice and slow. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, a 2 and a E and 4 and again 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, really make sure you got that rhythm before speeding it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, a 2 and a E and 4 and. Okay, now another technical focus element of this song is rhythm. Okay, so it's about playing that bar. Okay, there's a few bars in this piece with kind of tricky rhythms, but that bar's probably the trickiest rhythm, the most complex rhythm, especially at this tempo of 120 beats per minute. So you want to make sure you're playing that comfortably because that rhythm is a song rhythm. Okay, so you really want to hear that rhythm in that bar, nice and clean. Okay, okay, so it's really important you've got that rhythm down, so make sure the sticking's good and it's flowing nicely. Okay, so that last line of page 1, so bars 25 to 28 sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's no hiding in that fill because you're going to hear the rhythm played by other instruments as well. Okay, so it's going to be a nice clean rhythm in that bar, so bar 28. Then we go on to the next page. We've got the same groove again, so you're crashing on the 1 of the first bar of this line, playing the same groove on the hi-hat. You've got 3 1-bar repeats in that line, so remember, don't repeat the crash on 1 in the repeats, just carry on the hi-hat. Then you've got a 4 in brackets above the 4th bar of the line, because when you repeat a 1-bar groove and there's a few 1-bar repeats written out, it's easy to lose track of where you are. Okay, so that 4 there is just there to let you know when you feel the 4th bar, because naturally we can feel 4th bars because we always have like change ups or fills or things like that on the 4th bar, and the song's written in 4-bar phrases. We can feel the 4th bar, so when we feel that 4th bar, we can look at the sheet music and know where we are by seeing that 4 there. Okay, so that's just there to help you. And then in the next line, same groove again, crashing on the 1 in bar 33. Then we've got a 1-bar repeat. Now, in this 1-bar repeat, okay, again, you don't want to crash on the 1, and then you come into the next bar, crash on the 1, and then we've got a 1-bar repeat again, where you don't crash on the 1. So you're crashing every 2 bars in this line. Okay, and then after that 1-bar repeat, another crash into the groove, same groove, but we've just got a bass drum on the and a 4, which is going to be played with the crash cymbal. Okay, so a nice early crash on that and a 4. So bars 33 to 37 sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so make sure you're not hanging back too late and you don't crash on the 1 of the next bar. You want to hit that crash nice and early on the and a 4. Okay, so I don't mean play it earlier than the and a 4. I'm saying normally you crash on the 1, but this crash has got like the effect of being early because we're playing on the and a 4 instead of the 1. Okay, so you got that loopy line on the crash, so let it ring into the next bar. In the next bar, you've got a half note rest. You're going to rest for beats 1 and 2. Then you've got a quarter note rest. You're going to rest for beat 3. And then you've got a flam on the 4th beat for a quarter note. So you've got a flam on 4. Right flam or left flam. Okay? So that's on the 4. So if we try those 2 bars, so bar 37 and 38. 33. Yeah, that's right. So 37 and 38. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, flam on there. So try the whole line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just to let you know as well, it says, "Are you going to go my way?" above the 3rd bar of that line. So that's just the lyrics of the song at that point. So again, it's just a bit of guidance. When you hear that, when you play it with the track, you know where you are. Okay? So after that bar, the flam on the 4th beat, you've got a double bar line. Let you know there's going to be a musical change. And that's because we come to the end of the verse. Okay? So we're going to try and put the whole verse together now. So let's try the whole verse. And now we'll try the whole verse in time with the backing track. Okay, so keep a nice clean groove, keep those 8th notes nice and evenly spaced, and just make sure that fill in bar 28 is really clean, okay? You're hitting the rhythm at the right points, you've got a nice flow of a sticking pattern, okay? So remember, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left works really well. You don't have to use that sticking pattern, okay? But that's just one to use that will flow nicely, okay? So make sure that's nice and clean with the track because it's going to be played with the rest of the band, okay? So let's try the verse in time with the backing track.
I was born long ago. I'm the chosen, I'm the one. I have come to save the day, and I won't leave until I'm done. So that's why you gotta try, you gotta breathe.
So now we come into line 3 of page 2, which is a new section. It's the interlude. So you can see interlude there written in a box. It starts at bar 39. So now we come back to the flams that we played in the intro. Okay, so we're back to those flams on the downbeats, and we've got that bass drum on the end of 3 in the first bar of the interlude, which is also played in the next 2 bars as well. Okay, so we've got that same thing we played in the intro. So those first 3 bars of the interlude, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the final bar of that line, the first bar of the interlude, you've got that rhythm that we played in the second line of the intro. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you've come back to those flams. So remember, flams are a technical focus element in this piece. So you want to make sure you go from that verse, finish with that flam in the verse, and you come straight back into those nice clean flams. Okay, for that first line of the interlude. In the second line of the interlude, you go back to the groove that you played in the intro as well on the ride cymbal. Okay, so you're on the ride in the intro as well. So back to that, you've got 2 1-bar repeats. You don't want to repeat the crash on those 2 1-bar repeats. And then you've got the fill at the end of the interlude there. So you play the groove up until the second beat, and then you play the A3 and 4 and. Okay, so very similar to the way you ended the intro, but slightly different this time because you've got 8th notes on the 3, 2 16th notes and an 8th note on the 4. Okay, so slightly different rhythm. So that bar, so bar 46 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got 1 and 2, a 3 and 4 and. So you're going to play left on the A, right left for the 3 and then right left right for the 4 and. So again, that bar 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll try that whole line. So line 4 of page 2, the second line of the interlude. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you get that down and then put the interlude together. So those 2 lines of the interlude, bar 39 to 46. Okay, so let's try those 2 lines.
And I got to know, yeah. I don't know why.
And at the end of the interlude, it says DS al coda, which is short for del segno al coda. So del segno means go back to the sign, which was at the start of the verse at bar 17. So remember I said you knew we had to come back to that point, so you needed to log that sign. So after the interlude, we go back to the sign at bar 17. We play through the verse again, so that'd be verse 2. And then when we come to line 4 of the verse, which starts at the top of the second page, we get to the end of that line, and then you can see it says to coda with the coda sign there. So after we get to that bar, once we finish that bar, which is bar 32, we go to the coda. So we jump past the next line of the verse, past the interlude to the coda, which starts at bar 47, the 5th line of page 2. Okay, so we'll look at the coda now. So we crash into the hi-hat groove that we played in the verse. Okay, so that same groove, then we got a 1-bar repeat. So remember with the repeat, you don't repeat the crash on 1. Then we come into the same groove again with a crash on the 1-bar repeat again, okay, which we played at the end of the verse. Okay, so we played that before, and then we got that crash into the groove again with that extra note, crash note on the end of 4 with the bass drum. Okay, which again we played at the end of the verse. So we played that before, so that line goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the first line of the coda. We're looking at line 2, starting at bar 52. We've got a 2-bar rest there. So you're going to rest for 2 bars. So just make sure you keep count 2 bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then back come the flams. Okay, so you've got flams on the downbeats again, quarter note flams. You're just going to make sure you're playing them nice and neatly. Again, it's a technical focus element of the song. Okay, you got the F beneath the bar, so we're still at forte. All right, so nice, strong, loud flams. So if we go through that line, all you've got is that bass drum on the and of 3 in the 4th bar. So you've got 2 1-bar repeats. So you repeat that bar where we're playing the quarter note flams, but you bring in the bass drum on the and of 3 in the 4th bar of that part after the 2-bar rest. So after the 2-bar rest, those 4 bars are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you've already played that, but again, just make sure they're nice and clean. Then we come into the next line at bar 58. So now we've got a bar of 16th notes on the snare drum. So you've got a 1 E ender, 2 E ender, 3 E ender, 4 E ender. Just play a single strokes, and you've got bass drum playing all the downbeats. You've got quarter notes on the bass drum. Okay, so 16 notes with your hands, quarter notes with your foot. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now above the first 16th note on the 1, you've got an accent. So you want to play that with more force, more emphasis. And beneath the bar, you can see we've got a P, which is short for piano, which means soft. So you want to play this nice and quiet. And you can see we've got 2 1-bar repeats. Okay, so you play it again for another 2 bars. And through those 3 bars, so bars 58, 59, 60, you've got a crescendo. So you want to get louder. So we start at piano, soft. And we get louder. You can see we've got an F at the end of the crescendo, which is short for loud. So we want to go from soft to loud through those 3 bars, accenting the 1 of each bar. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so build that crescendo. Then in the final bar of that line, bar 61. Yep, you've got still bass drum playing the downbeat quarter notes, and then you've got the rhythm with your hands. 1, so quarter note 1, right hand. Then you've got 2 dotted 8th note and 16th, that would be right, left. Then you've got 8th note and 2 16th notes on the 3, which would be 3 and right, right, left. And then 16th notes on the 4, 40 and right, left. So the snare rhythm is 1, 2, 3 and 40 and sticking right, right, left, right, left, right, left. So playing just the hand, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And still keeping that quarter note bass drum, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that's at forte, because obviously you've crescendoed up to forte, and for that bar you stay at forte, okay? So that line, crescendo the 16th notes through 3 bars, and then play that 1-bar fill. At forte, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that bass drum stays playing quarter notes through the whole line. Okay, so we're going to get that nice, neat and tidy, that line. And then we come into the final line of the piece, starting at bar 62. So we come back onto the ride cymbal for the groove, this time the 8th note groove. And in the first bar of that line, you've got that extra 16th note on the of 2 again, in the middle of the 8th note right hand part. Okay, so that bar 62 will crash on 1. On the ride cymbal, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after that bar, you've got 5 1-bar repeats. You play that groove for another 5 bars. And you can see you've got the number 4 in brackets there written above the 4th time of playing the groove. So when you feel that 4th time of playing the groove, you know exactly where you are. Okay, so once you've repeated that groove another 5 times, you've just got a slight change up in the penultimate bar, that second from last bar, bar 68. Yep, 68. And all you're doing in 68 is playing that crash on the under 4 with the bass drum. Again, okay, so that early crash. So bar 68 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the last bar, you just got fermata. So you just pause, okay? You hold that note, okay? So the track just has a fermata, okay? So there's no time there. You just hold that last note, and then the track finishes. Okay, so that last line sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so just hold that note for the fermata. All right, now where you crash on that and of 4, so, okay, so there's a few times throughout this piece. If you got a second crash, you can crash on the second crash as well, okay? So you can crash on the 1 of that penultimate bar, for instance. You can play this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can change it up. It's just for a bit of show, and if you've got a different crash, obviously it just adds a different sound as well. So that's an option. But if you just got one crash, just stay on the one crash there. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the piece. You can see the final bar line there, let you know it's the final bar of the piece. So let's try putting the whole coda together. So bar 47 to 69, I believe. Yeah, 69. Okay, so till the end of the piece, the whole coda.
We've got to dance and be in love. But what I really want to know is, are you gonna go my way? And I got to know, yeah. 'cause baby, I got to know.
So you want to make sure you can flow from each section of the song. So we're going to play the whole piece now. So if you find there's a couple of sections that you find hard to transition to and from, just make sure you work on that. Okay, so isolate sections you need to isolate, and then you want to put the whole song together. Okay, making sure you can flow from section to section. So just to make sure you understand the structure of the song, so you play through the intro, then you play through verse 1. Okay, then into the interlude. When you get to the end of the interlude, they'll send you, our coda sends you back to the sign at the start of the verse. We play through the verse again, which is verse 2. Then we get to the 4th bar of line 4 of the chorus. So bar 32, where it says to coda above it. So when you finish bar 32, you go to the coda. So you jump to bar 47, and then you play through the coda, which finishes the piece. Okay, so let's try and put the whole piece together now. And now we're going to play the whole piece in time with the backing track. Okay, so remember 2-bar counting. Just make sure you got a nice flow from section to section. You come in at forte, nice, loud and strong with those clean flams. Remember that's a technical focus element in this piece. Okay, and just make sure you got a nice subdivision in the groove, nice even 8th notes. And then when you play the groove in the verse, for instance, and you come back into those flams in the interlude, just make sure there's a nice, strong transition from the verse back into the flams. Okay, so make sure you got the dynamics as well in the coda, that nice crescendo. Obviously, it's really needed with the track, that crescendo, because it builds the energy back up for the ending. Okay, so let's play the whole piece now in time with the backing track, and just to bring your attention as well to bar 28. Nice, clean rhythm in bar 28. Another technical focus element in this piece, rhythm. Okay, make sure you can play that rhythm nice and clean, and obviously all the other rhythms in the piece as well, like playing that extra 16th note in the groove on the of 2. Make sure that's nice and clean. All right, so let's try the whole piece now in time with the backing track.
really wanna know is, are you gonna go my way? And I got to know, yeah. Baby, I got to know.
So I hope you had fun playing that piece. So play through all the parts, nice, comfortable tempo for you. Okay, make sure it feels good, it sounds good. That's what we want, developing you as a drummer so you're sounding like a good musician. When you play drums, you want it to sound good, so make sure you're relaxed. Play at comfortable tempos, and then once you're comfortable, then increase the tempo till you get to that song tempo of 120 beats per minute. So bring the energy with this song. There's a lot of energy. It's forte, it's fast, okay? So just make sure you're comfortable at the song tempo. Don't rush to it. All right, so have fun with this song, and we'll see you in the next lesson.